What's going on, traders? I'm Antoine Farrar back with another trading video with Digital Goatz Academy. Today is Tuesday, so you know it's already our market forecast. We pretty much give our predictions on what we think that how the market is going to play out. If you're tuning into this session, make sure you do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that like button and comment if you guys have any questions or things that you would like to see in the future within our YouTube channel. So. Let's go ahead and get into the market. This is market forecast, so let's just go ahead and analyze the charts. Now, we did have a major move this morning for indices, across the board, all indices. Now, let me look at oil real quick. I do want to look at oil because the reason I believe indices, well, there's always like an excuse why the market is going up or going down. But if you were paying attention later on this afternoon or earlier this afternoon before we hit the market close, there was some news drop that Iran did not decide to meet with the U.S., whatever meeting that they had, conference that they had to discuss peace talks. They didn't show up for that. So obviously the market took that as like a negative reaction. But we've been following oil. And if you look at oil, oil had made a gap earlier. What was that, last week? Yeah, earlier last week. So I believe that because we have oil that pushed up right here, I think that price is ultimately gonna push down, like continue pushing down, because this is something that we talked about within oil. We know that oil possibly can still, test within this gap, but I think the overall direction of oil is down, but it's gonna do a lot of sideways movement before it actually breaks to the downside. So we talked about this. We talked about how oil possibly can, I think I said over here, like I was looking for something of that to this effect. But you see how, our thought process isn't too far off. So I expect price to try to have a downtrend while it's consolidating. So consolidating downward, but also doing it slow. We discussed this, I think, on weekly review. Matter of fact, the session we just dropped this morning, that oil normally, let me see. Oil normally doesn't make like gigantic moves, you know what I'm saying? Like without like it takes a while, like not consistent. That's what I meant to say. So oil doesn't make like big moves up or big moves down like consistently. It normally consolidate, then it ends up making those moves as we are just seeing this year. So I don't expect oil to be like wilding like we saw just recently in the past month and a half. Well, past 2 months, I expect price to basically get a handle on itself, and actually start consolidating or pretty much ranging. But I don't think that we're going to come back up to these higher areas up here. But either way, this is what I'm banking on oil to do, which is obviously going to play out to indices. So indices should respond in kind. When oil's coming down, we should see indices start to push down. Oil goes up, we should start to see, oil goes up, we should start to see indices come down. Oil goes down, we should start to see indices come up. Now, it's not going to be exact. It's not as simple as that, obviously. But again, pay attention to what oil's doing because obviously every time oil has gone up, indices have been brought down. Now that we're at that gap, I think it's time for the market to I think that that was just like a pullback or a correction today. Now, the one thing about indices is that we've already discussed this consolidation and loves that. So what I've seen consistently in the past is when it comes to, like I said, I pay attention to US 30. I've seen that Sunday, especially with us producing these gaps, and we have examples already that the market did where price would get bullish on Sunday, like it would gap down, be bullish on Sunday, then come back and test either that high or that area of support. As you can see right now, US 30 closed at this consolidation level, which would be considered what of Sunday? It would be considered its high. So it just looks like price is testing this high, just like we saw the week of Sunday, April 12th. So you see exactly where we anticipated price to buy up from. It didn't come exactly to our line. It pushed up and it took a while. Well, Sunday it did this. Where did it do it on Tuesday? Wednesday. one of these areas where price pushed up on a Sunday and then it came back to test that on Tuesday. Was it over here? Ooh, I don't know. It might have been another currency pair like from S&P or Nasdaq. But anyway, that's what I was expecting if we didn't get the continuation up. I was expecting some type of push down. I didn't think that it was going to be this volatile, but again, like we don't make up the conditions that make up the market. Anything can happen. That's why I always urge traders to take profit between Sunday and Tuesday, all the way up to Sunday and Tuesday. That's what I do because when moves like this happen and you're not really expecting it, this is where it catches a lot of traders or forces a lot of traders out. So the fact that we got bullish towards market close, to me, that tells me that the market definitely wiped out a lot of traders. So it got the liquidity it needs to add the momentum to the upside. Not to mention if we just discuss the 945 candle. So this was the 945 candle this morning. Again, I mark it up with green, like with the green zone. So I expected price to drop because it didn't break to the upside. So I expected price to sell off. I didn't think it was going to sell off this monstrous. I thought it was going to sell off and then maybe slow down and then continue selling off post market. But this is good news because what I was expecting to happen probably during like London is probably going to happen post market. So now that we have one previous high that we're testing, but also we're close to a level of support, I can treat this area as support as well, or I can treat it as a higher low. It's higher than the previous low that we came from. So what does a higher low mean when you're looking at the sequence of an uptrend or a downtrend? Well, let's do it from here. It means that price is creating an uptrend. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we need still more data and price to break these areas or to possibly create another higher low in order to push the market back up. But this is our first sequence of the possibility of the uptrend continuing, which I am banking on that it's continuing. It's just it does price want to, is it going to respect the trend going this way? Or is it going to want to establish support first and then break to the upside? I can see the possibility of price doing that, but I don't want to throw anything that's like confusing. This would have been the better area to enter, even if price has the ability to come back here. I just say that for warning, just in case we get some news, but also the market is banking on us seeing this and saying, man, there's a lot of traders entering in this area for a buy. Within reason, let me push down because I didn't respect that support before to grab this liquidity and then bring the market back up. So we could see that. Like I said, I'm not going to speculate that further because, again, when we're looking at anywhere from Sunday to Tuesday, we're looking for more data to kind of give us clarity on what the market is trying to do. We've already seen that it is in an uptrend. You know what I'm saying? Whenever it hits resistance, you should expect that price is going to respect that. Anytime I'm looking for price to break resistance, I expect price to respect the resistance and then break it on the opposite side. So now that we have this push down, I'm thinking the next push that we get back up here is going to be a break to the upside, which to me, this is our buy zone. We just have to push away from it. So we have to see how the market reacts once we open back up towards 6 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, again, we go with the same thing we've been utilizing since we've been discussing this last year, since we've been discussing indices. What does indices or what are indices attracted to the most? Consolidation. And when it comes back here to those areas, you have to respect it as such. Now, again, we're leaving room for error where price could push down a little bit lower than what we expected. But overall, right here, this was the gap from Sunday. We broke out of that area and we're testing into the gap. So we're not running away from the gap yet, which is kind of like a good sign because unlike unlike we had this area down here, the market was making me skeptical on like if it truly was trying to be bullish. But if we had some major news that brought us down back to this area, that would be like within reason too. But I'm not speculating that far. I'm glad we pushed away from here. And like I said, each time we've been pushing up, price has been creating support or respecting the previous high. This is Wednesday to Thursday. So you see how even in this area we've been respecting the high. Let me zoom in on that. So if you turn this to a line chart, we can see that they're not equal to each other. Even on the candlestick form, it's not equal. It actually tests the previous high. So Wednesday's high of this area. But look, there was resistance up here. What did price do off of this resistance? It respected it. But that doesn't mean that every time we see the market drop that we start saying sell, sell, sell. Like, I mean, if you want to try to catch that, but to me, the overall trend is up. So I'm not even entertaining this. I saw this and it last week it was vicious too. Um, but I think every move down that we're going to see is definitely going to be an opportunity to push up. What the market is trying to do is one, test these areas that people got comfortable with saying that, oh man, I'm gonna keep buying. And then the market is trying to grab liquidity, but also running people's stop losses. Anybody that didn't take profit here is running your stop loss. So that's why I said take your profit. Hell, take your profit the whole week. We're in the second quarter, so it's like nobody should really be trying to, unless your capital is just like that, play the long game. Everybody should be what the definition is, day trading. You know what I'm saying? Like going day to day, trying to close out on profit. That way, when these moves happen that are unexpected, because this was so, I mean, we saw this move happening. You know what I'm saying? But the continuation, that was unexpected. I could see it going into the gap, but I definitely did not think price was going to push down this far. But I did say that, man, we didn't come back and test this area, so I would be a fool to sit here and act like price couldn't do this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I kind of got carried away by the time we were up here. But again, taking profit is what saved me. You know what I'm saying? Instead of trying to hold this position and then the market comes down. And again, what was this? How was this forced down? This was forced down around like opening bell. Let me see. Mm, so 10, so 10, when the 10 a.m. candle isn't pushing us back up, we should expect it to try to push us down. And again, that's like a vague statement, but again, you're going to see what I'm talking about if you start paying attention to how open and bell operates, especially if you start marking up the 945 candle. Because what we wanted is for price to stay above this zone and then test back into it. The fact that it broke below it, that doesn't change the direction, but that just told us that today's trading day was not like a day for buyers. It was actually a day for sellers, or basically the market makers trying to sweep out the buyers that I bought pretty much Sunday. And again, that's very common that we see that. Market breaks out Sunday, Tuesday, normally Tuesday. I've seen it consistently with Tuesday. I don't know about Monday, but Tuesday the market will get you comfortable and then bring it down in order to test either a previous high or a previous level of support. So this is my buy zone. You know, we may get like a gap down in order to test this high, but I definitely think that this is our buy zone still. I'm not changing the trend. The fact that we have higher highs with S&P and Nasdaq, I'm definitely thinking that US 30 is going to follow shortly. So it may be a slow process this week, but we should get some momentum that brings us back up to 50K. If not, we're probably just going to be ranging until price breaks up out of here. I'm hoping we just continue because based off of market structure right here that we have this support and it's a previous high that the trend is going to continue going up versus trying to, price trap people and then push up. But I can see that, you know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not speculating too far, but this is how I think to kind of give myself reason on like, okay, should I cut my losses? Should I enter? Should I not enter? You know what I'm saying? Things like that just flowing through my mind. But yeah, I'm still bullish. I haven't changed my analysis. I haven't changed my direction. Just be wary of these aggressive pullbacks because it's trying to force buyers out. Look how slow the market's been buying up. We saw this last year how it'll start to buy up very slow and then get you comfortable. And because it's been buying up very slow, bring a sell that looks like it's going straight to hell. You know what I'm saying? And because the sell is so aggressive, a lot of traders are like, man, I can't stay in this if you don't get the margin call. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure there's traders even got either got their stops hit or got margin call. You know what I'm saying? So pay attention to that because as we're buying up, the market is trying to do that. It's trying to get you comfortable enough to say, oh, you think there's not going to be a correction or you don't think a pullback's coming. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get you comfortable and I'm going to pull it back what you least expect. But we can see this ahead of time. A lot of traders, if they were paying attention, one of my members in my community, like they would have been able to catch a sell. They just got stopped out early, but they were anticipating the sell because by opening bell, you should have been able to see that at least by 10. Maybe not by opening bell, but at least by 10, you should have been able to see that, yo, this thing ain't it's not buying up anymore. And that would have been by 10:30. Market ain't turn over by 10:30. Yeah, it basically told us that it was selling off. So I'm looking at this to just be like a pullback that brought us back down to Sunday, which I kind of was hoping that we would do. So that way price wouldn't be super high and then want to come back down here like a month later. Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm still bullish. I'm looking at this as a support structure. So yeah, I think that buyers are buying here, and we'll just have to see how the market opens up at 6. So pretty much the same thing for Nasdaq. I don't have an exact entry, but it looks like it created support right here. The one thing that I like is that we're still above the resistance that we created. So I said this that once we broke out, we'll probably do like some type of pullback, or what it looks like is doing is consolidating, which makes sense, some type of pullback in order to establish that we did test this, take off, and then later NASDAQ will want to come back here whenever that is. Hell, that may be next year since we broke out of this high. So this may be the buy zone for next year if we come back here. Yeah, if we possibly come back here, but who's to say? S&P, same thing. You know, NASDAQ and S&P are looking a lot alike. So I would say like kind of look at them in tandem. Don't trade them at the same time, but look at them in tandem. So it broke out of this resistance. And we did say that price was going to pull back. It did. You know what I'm saying? Where we at? We even got that gap down on Sunday. So to me, this was establishing that we're testing this resistance. This was establishing that price is still trying to continue in the uptrend. And the only one out of the big three was S&P to actually draw up some type of support, which looks equal to where we pushed up from Sunday. So yeah, I like that this established some support. And this was kind of like an area that we were targeting this morning that we said, all right, if price is going to pull back, we're probably going to look at 750. And it came down to like 740, I mean 70.50, and then it came down to like 70.46, which is good news. You know what I'm saying? That still puts us in the area that we wanted to be in, and we're still above the resistance. So again, until price drops a little bit lower, which again, if you're, if you're using improper, well, I wouldn't even say if you're using improper risk management. If it goes like below this, then obviously I would say cut your losses, and price is probably trying to drop a lot lower than what we expected, maybe even back to Sunday. But I don't want to speculate that far. I want to see more data. One thing I know for certain is that when indices create support, trust it. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, still pay attention to how the market is moving, whether it's going up or trying to push down. But a lot of times on a smaller time frame, like how I just showed you with US 30, like on the what was that, like the 2 minute, 3 minute, you would have been able to see that. Don't think that you're not able to see these moves on the smaller time frame. The reversal moves happen on the smaller time frame. And look at this. It even gave us some candlestick patterns. This is a evening star. Remember, if you've been following us since last week, you know that well, not since last week, since the beginning of this year, you know that we've talked about morning star patterns, where here's an evening star pattern, which is a selling pattern and ends up where? At the end of an uptrend. Now, this isn't the end of the uptrend necessarily for like the entire move, but this is the end of an uptrend for this sequence. So for this move, this was the end of an uptrend, like how far back? I guess we go back to where we met at. Yeah, from here. And this was the end of the uptrend for this sequence. Like if we go all the way back. So that makes sense because we gapped down Sunday. So we did need to fill that. We needed some type of correction that was gonna That was going to bring the market back up, so that way it wouldn't do that much later. So make no mistake, on a smaller time frame, that's where the reversal starts happening. So you should be able to see if you're understanding like candlestick patterns, if you're understanding market structure, not necessarily where the reversal, because you do need some type of confirmation, but you can see that price doesn't look like it's being favorable to you or going in the same direction that you've analyzed, or that maybe this isn't a continuation, but a pullback. So, like I've always said, don't try to anticipate the pullback, but when you see that motherfucker, like, you better respond in kind, you know what I mean? But good thing we still pay attention to like the basic stuff that helps us as traders, which is consolidation and support. So the fact that US 30's here, I'm trusting that. Oh, snap, I didn't even see. Oh, that's that support structure that I drew up. I thought that was something different. But yeah, now that I see support there, I mean US 30 at that consolidation zone, now that I see that S&P came all the way back to Sunday and NASDAQ too, I'm looking at this as buy zones, and we establish some form of support to continue the trend going up. So nothing exciting, you know what I mean? Like it took the whole day for the market to make, you basically say the whole trading session the market was selling off. So um nothing really to brag about unless you caught that sell, but I think the sell has exhausted and we're going to continue pushing back up. But we'll see as the market opens up towards 6 p.m. Eastern and then figure it out from there. But I hope we get like some type of momentum. I don't want like big moves, but I want, price to kind of show us that, yeah, I'm still trying to move in this direction versus like pushing up. Now it gaps down, that's a whole different process. You know what I mean? We'll have to definitely um reassess what the market is doing and adjust our analysis. But either way, I'm still looking at buys. You know what I'm saying? No matter how deep we retrace, unless we just violate where we came from, which would, oh, that's what I wanted to mention. Remember we talked about this pattern too? We're above that pattern. So even if we were to like pull back, this still confirms that price is buying up. Because one thing we were looking forward to is that if price was gonna either reject one of these areas in order to sell off, it didn't. So this gives us our confirmation that price is buying up, and I'm gonna continue buying until it starts aligning. You know what I mean? I didn't mean to be so corny, right? But still, inverted head and shoulders, still playing off of that. I don't see no changes. The only thing I see is that price may be trying to range, but just like we saw with what? This move over here. Just like we saw, because before we had more data, this move seemed monstrous. You know what I'm saying? Before price ended up buying back up. It did buy back up, and we had a Hail Mary, and this was like on a Friday. So the fact that this happened on a Tuesday, I definitely think that we're cleared for takeoff. And I'm looking at a target for like US 30 of like 51, anywhere from 51 250 to 51 350. I do think that we can hit 52K, but I don't think that, I think if we're going to hit that, it might be by the end of the month. I'm not sure if it's going to be like within this week. I know that by the end of this week, we should see, as long as the trend is continuing up, we should see 50K 500, because that's where we created resistance at. And S&P and NASDAQ already broke through their highs. So I'm sure US 30 is sure to follow. And then again, because there's rate cuts being priced into the market, obviously that's kind of telling us a tall tale sign that a price is still continuously bullish, because there would be no reason to trigger a rate cut if price wasn't still going up. So more information to follow as we create more, as the market creates more data. But that's all I got, traders. Like I said, nothing too exciting. These are days that we have where the market's not really showing you anything, and then later on, either towards Sydney or London, it gets a boost of momentum, or the following New York session. So I definitely expect us to be higher by the time we get to New York, and then possibly opening bell bring us down to like correct ourselves. But we'll see. We don't want to go any lower than where we are at currently, because if so, price is diving deeper, and then we'll obviously have to wait for a better position to buy back up. But that's if we do break the zone, which I'm fairly certain that we aren't. But again, I don't make up the rules. We'll see what price does once we open and then the rest of this week. But I'm still bullish until otherwise. But that's all I got, traders. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be vigilant, just pay attention, always kind of have that news channel like playing in the background just in case there's a headline, you know what I'm saying? That way so you can be prepared and not lose out on your profit or take your profit if the market is showing like some finicky signs. But I'll catch you on the next video, which will be Thursday for YouTube. Obviously, my community knows they'll see me tomorrow. But I'm Antoine Farrar as always. I hope everybody has a successful trading week. I hope this session provided you with some form of knowledge. And I hope all you traders have definitely been gaining some type of value and utilizing it in your own analysis. If you don't need it, cool. But appreciate you for tuning in. So I'll catch you on the next video with Digital Goats Academy. I'm signing off. Peace.